There we go. That's the old bush out. This is probably one of the dirtiest jobs and the most fiddly job that we do on cars. Done, and it took way longer than what it should have done. Hi there guys, welcome to another episode. Now, I've got the little red Fiesta up on the lift again, and I'm hoping that this is the last two mechanical jobs that I've got to do. So it looks like the bottom arm bushes are looking a bit perished, so I've got a new pair. I'll have a look if the bushes are knackered. If they are, I'll change them. If they're not, I won't. But one thing I do know needs changing, and that is the CV boots. So we're going to start to undo the bottom arms, because that'll make it easy for me to get the joints out. Once they're out, I can check the bushes on the bottom arms, and I can also change the boots on the drive shafts. So both of these two jobs are in the same kind of area, so I'll do them both at the same time. So I've already got the wheels off on the front. I'm going to start pulling the bottom arms off. So I think that those bottom arm bushes look a bit bad. I'll see more when I get them off, but they're bolted straight through there, and then there's another one down the bottom just there to get off, and then there's obviously the ball joint bolt to get out there, and that will bring the bottom arm out of the way. Once the bottom arm's out of the way, it'll make it easier to get the drive shaft out of the way here, because that's bolted through the middle there. Right, so that bottom arm is now down and the CV joint is loose. This was a complete pain. Everything was rusted solid with it not being moved for many years. I ended up having to whack the end of this. I don't like doing it, but I didn't really have much choice. If you are going to do something like that, and I definitely don't recommend it, put the nut on all the way to the end, so like that, so that when you do hit it, you're actually hitting the nut as well as the drive shaft. I'm going to have to grind the end of that, or I'm going to have to file the end of that CV joint down again, because at the moment it's swelled and I can't get the nut on there. I don't want to damage it anymore. So that was a complete and utter nightmare to get out. You can see that the CV boot in there doesn't look all that fantastic. I don't know whether it's got a split in it or not, but it's not looking fantastic, so I'm going to guess that it is, and by the look of the amount of oil and grease and stuff like that that's there, I'm going to say that it's probably time for a change anyway. And they were dirt cheap, so it doesn't make much difference. As opposed to the bottom arm then, that bush looks to be quite alright. The ball joint seems to be fine as well. In fact, it's pretty solid, that is. I can hardly move it, so that's a good sign. But then this bush here, that's not meant to be like that. So I definitely do need to change this bush on this arm, so I'm going to be pressing that one out in a minute. On this side, which is the driver's side in Sweden, I've got the CV joint apart. Again, it looks fairly similar to the other side, where it's got kind of cracks in it. Don't know whether it's actually gone through or not, but it also looks a bit greasy and horrible, so I'm going to change them, seeing as we're dirt cheap. Ball joint feels fine. It's been changed at some point because it's not the original ball joint. Problem here is that I can't get that bolt out. It's absolutely solid in the bush. So where the bolt goes through, there's like a metal sleeve, and that bolt is stuck in that metal sleeve. You can see that the bush moves. So that bolt is absolutely rusted into there. So I can't actually get that out at the moment for me to actually inspect that the rear bush back there. It doesn't look to be, oh yeah it does, it's starting to go in the same place as the other side, very slightly, from what I can feel just now. So, but I need to get this bolt out first, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to get that out right now. More WD-40 I think. Right, so with this bottom arm off, we've got this pressing kit for pressing bushes out, and basically what you do is you find the size there. Now that fits outside of the holder, so there's the bottom half of the bush, and this pipe here fits over it as a support like that, so that when you press this bush out, it presses against the metal here and not against the bush. Then you need to find that fits the same size as the bush you're going to press out, which is that one, and then it has a little top on it that goes on like that. So now I'm going to go over to the press and we're going to press that bush out. There we go. That's the old bush out. There we go. That's the nice new bush, all neatly pressed in. We can fit that back in the car now. Well, we can see that around that bush there, it's all started to peel off. The underside is pretty much the same, but if we look at the bush like that, you can see that that sleeve is off to one side. So that bush was definitely in need of changing. So if you could just press the subscribe button, which is here or here or here, or probably here, maybe there, don't know. Press that subscribe button. It really does help my channel to grow, and it allows me to get more of this content out, things like this and things like Alice. So if you could do that, I'd really, really appreciate it. Let's get back onto this and let's get it finished. Right, so I've got the CV joint off. This is probably one of the dirtiest jobs and the most fiddly job that we do on cars. Now some of the cars, like this one, will have that little circlip in there, that one there, that hold it on. So you need to get a pair of circlip pliers into there, pry that little circlip apart, and then you can gently tap it off the shaft and it'll come off. Some of them don't have that circlip and they'll have a snap ring on the end of the drive shaft that snaps into the end of there, and basically you just have to whack that off and then whack it back on again. And some of them are just a nightmare to get off. So this CV joint is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. All I'm going to do with it is re-grease it and put it back together again with a new boot. Now I get the question occasionally as to how much grease to put into a new CV joint, and the answer is enough. That's the only answer I can give you, just enough. Normally you get a little sachet of the grease, and I would put all of that grease in it. So about that much is what I'd put on the actual joint, and then I normally fill the boot with the rest of whatever's in the sachet. Now this is a tube, so I'm just going to put enough in there like that, and then the joint can just be pushed back into place. Might have to give it a gentle little love tap. So that's that. So that's the CV joint done on this side. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and then I can start putting the bottom arm together on this side, and then I'll start on the other side. Well, I think I'm going to have to give up for today. I cannot get that bolt out. It is stuck inside of the bush, so I've squirted as much WD-40 as I can possibly get in there. I'm going to leave it overnight, and hopefully I'll be able to get that out in the morning. If not, I don't really know what else to do about getting that out of there. I've been trying it with a couple of different things, but I can't undo it. I can't even undo this nut on this end because it just flexes forward and backwards. I mean, I can pull that spanner down to there and it just flexes back again. So I can't even undo that nut, and I can't undo it at all. I can't undo the head, nothing. So it's completely rusted inside that sleeve. Now the only way I can see to get that bolt out of that sleeve is I have to cut through the bolt. To cut through the bolt means I have to cut through the bush. If I cut through the bush, it means that bush is knackered, and I wasn't planning on changing it. So I've been and bought a brand new arm. I've already got that bush, but the whole arm was like 40 quid, so I'm going to change that arm. It's a shame because the ball joint is fine on that arm. It looks like it's been changed not long ago because that is new bolts there, so the ball joint's fine on there. I've got that bush already, but I just can't get it out. Can't get that bolt out of there, so I'm going to have to cut it. So I'm going to have to get some sort of a reciprocating saw or something out and cut through the bolt in that bush to be able to get this bottom arm out of the way. Well, that took a lot longer than what I was hoping for. This front side shot off actually quite well. There's part of the bracket and the bolt is there. So that came off really, really quickly. It just it really shot off like a cannonball. The other side, this inner side here, took ages to get through it. I don't really know why. It's not any harder on this side than it is on the other side. It's not more hardened or anything like that, but it just took a lot longer to get through. But eventually I got through it, so now I can replace it. So I didn't manage to get through the actual bush itself, but I did manage to get through the bolt. So that side was all right. This side shot off like a cannonball, like I said. This is the bush that I was looking at, and judging by it, it was definitely a change in. As you can see, it's all kind of disintegrated around this side, and the underneath of it looks even worse. So it's starting to disintegrate on this side and on this side, and the actual shaft where the bolt goes through here is starting to peel off. So it was definitely time to change these rear bushes. The front ones don't actually look that bad, so I could have got away with just replacing both of those rear ones, but like I say, I couldn't get that one out, so don't have much choice now to replace the whole arm. So there we are then. That should be the last of the mechanical jobs on this car done, and it took way longer than what it should have done. Right, so that is the last of the mechanical jobs, I hope, on this car done, and it took way longer than it should have done. So now I'm going to get the last bits of welding to be done under the sill on this side and the other side, as well as the front wing, and then I can start to get her in for an MOT, and that will be the first MOT since about 2019, something like that. So that's going to be really, really exciting, but I promise you guys are coming with me on that. Press that like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.